Hi, Michelle here. I thought that in today's video I would take a little bit of a different approach and I would talk about 7 Hoyas that we don't really talk about much, but I think that we should definitely talk about a little more. These are 7 Hoyas that have kind of gotten a little bit down by the wayside, but maybe we should kind of bring them up a little bit more in the conversation because I think they're really great Hoyas and maybe they should be discussed with a little more, collected a little more, maybe traded a little bit more. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see other plant related content from me, please consider subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. I promise I'll get back to you on that. Let's go on with the video. The first Hoya that I think that we should talk about more that we don't really talk about is this Hoya nervosa. And my Hoya nervosa, as you can see, this started as 3 leaves back in 2019. I'll put a picture up here. But this started off as 3 leaves. It's not often talked about. I I think because it doesn't have splashing. Um, it has mine has a burnt spot because I did have it's in this cabinet, and until about 2 weeks ago I had some really hot burning T8 lights in there, and so this was up next to the light, and unfortunately it burned. Um, this 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 leaf burnt as well. Um, but the reason why I think that we should talk about this some more is just look at the leaves. They're really pillowy. Um, they are really nice and big. They have abs and ribs. This is a nice example of one. This is another nice example of one. Um, I haven't bloomed it yet. There is a peduncle back. Let's see, I do have a peduncle right here where my thumb is, but it hasn't really done anything since forming. I do have a new leaf right here, so you can see what they look like as they form, right here, this new leaf right here. So I think it's a really beautiful plant. It's got lots of abs. This is kind of a chlorotic spot. A This is kind of a nutrition deficiency area that I have right here with this leaf and this leaf. So unfortunately, mine is a little ugly. This leaf grew up against a light. So it's definitely, this one has some character to it. But I definitely think that we should be talking about this more because I mean, look at that leaf. That's a gorgeous leaf. That's a gorgeous leaf. We don't have enough puffy large leaf Hoyas. We have veiny Hoyas. We have, what I call the dumpster dive Hoyas, but we don't have too many puffy Hoyas. So the first Hoya on my list is the Hoya nervosa. The next Hoya on my list is a little similar to the nervosa, and this is the meredithii. And the reason I'm including the meredithii on the list is this is a beautiful, beautiful Hoya. It is not a rare Hoya, but it is not a common Hoya either. Um, Mine is a little, as you can see, this is what the leaves look like when they get a lot of sun. But this is more along the lines of what the leaf should look like with less light exposure. Um, for the longest time, I had my uh, meredithii up in a highlight situation. This may look a little different because what I did here was my plant was not doing the best. It developed root mealies. So what I did was I cut the plant up into cuttings and I rooted them in a 5-inch pot. And as you can see, it rooted very well, very quickly, and not a shred trace of root mealies left, because I did just cut all the roots off and start again. I have lots of new growth. I have this new leaf right here. I have this new leaf right here. I have all of these growth tips right here. This is what a Hoya looks like after you restart it and it starts to grow. A lot of people don't like to restart Hoyas because they think that they're going to look, they're not going to look good for ever. But what I want to show you is that, similar to the nervosa, the nervosa was also cut into cuttings and rerooted, and it grew pretty much the same. This is going to go on a ladder trellis as it grows larger. So it will grow along the back, and all of these will be attached onto the trellis. And it will form an absolutely beautiful, nice, thick bush of plant. Who can resist that veining? But this is a large leaf Hoya. It has gorgeous veining. It has gorgeous coloration. It grows fast, as we can see here and here. I cut this plant up about 2 months ago, and this is the growth it's given me since. So it grows very fast. So I think that the meredithii is really a good grower, um, and that I think that once this plant really fills out, it's going to be a showstopper. And I don't think that we see enough of those from the meredithii, and I think we should. The third plant is the hanhiae. I'm not for sure what color flower this is. Um, it wasn't described to me when I bought it. I got this as a small cutting. I think it was 1 leaf, maybe 2 leaves. But I never really hear anyone talk about this plant. And look at the leaves. I mean, it's growing very large leaves for me now, but look at this leaf right here. Look how large that leaf is compared to my hand. It's larger than my hand. Um, in the beginning, it produced leaves like this. Look how small it is compared to this leaf. So if you grow this in conditions that are a little bit lower light, but this one grows in high humidity. This one grows in 60, 70% humidity, and it really likes it. As you can see, it has some wonky growth. This was grown up against a wall, so that's why that one malformed. But this is one cutting. As you can see down at the bottom, it did have flat mites. You can see by all of the aborted growth points, but it was treated, and now look at all the growth that it has after it got rid of the flat mites. I don't think we talk enough about the hanhiae. 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 I don't think we talk enough about it. To me, it's kind of a cross between a latifolia from Sarawak and a verticillata heartleaf splash, but it's its own unique animal. And I don't think we really hear many people talk about it. And I think it's a beautiful plant. It has splashing. It has a beautiful leaf shape. It does grow large leaves. It is not a finicky plant. It grows really quickly. Um, these tendrils I found just from digging the plant out of the cabinet, and I had to retrellis it just for this video. So I do think that um, this is not talked about very much, and I think that it really should be. So this is my third plant, the hanhiae. My fourth plant that I think that we should discuss more about is the Collina. Now, this was sold to me as the IR26. Um, Whether it is the actual IR26 or just a Collina, I'm not for sure. Oh, darn it. Um, but I love this plant, and I definitely think that we should be talking about it more. First of all, look at those gorgeous sun stress leaves. Uh, this is all new growth, but look how it comes in. It comes in a beautiful maroon purple shade. When I got this plant, it had these these leaves right down here, these tiny, tiny little leaves. And so I thought, okay, well, I know what that plant's going to look like. It's just going to have these tiny, tiny, tiny little leaves, right? No, it produces these leaves, which are totally different. They are coin shaped. I mean, I will say that this little leaf down here was coin shaped too, but they're coin shaped. Um, they are like a lacanosa crossed with a GPS 7240. That's what it reminds me of. It has beautiful splash. It has beautiful coloration. It grows pretty quickly. This is in a this is in a detolf that you can't see right offside. Um, but it's in higher humidity, so it does like the higher humidity. It grows really fast. As you can see, this is a new growth point, and you can see the new leaves right there and the new leaves forming right there. It's also got a new growth point right back here where it has new leaves right there. It's also got a new growth point right right there where my thumb is. But I know that we sometimes see people, uh, some people talk about this as the Beacensis, but that, from what I've read, that is not that is not the term that's supposed to be used. It's supposed to be the Collina. Now, the IR26 is supposed to be a specific cultivar of the Collina. So I can't say as I have that for sure, but looking on the descriptions with this particular shape and coloration I do believe I have the IR26, but I could be wrong. I'm wrong often. But I think that we should talk about this more. Oh, and look, it's got a growth point right there that got smashed up right there in the end. So we'll put that back in the pot. So this is a really rapid grower. I got this for either for Christmas last year or my birthday last year. So about a year ago. And when I got it, it was just this little part and these little leaves right here. But I definitely think that people should talk about this more because of look of how gorgeous these leaves are. I don't see people post about it very much, and I think they could. So the fourth plant that I think people should talk about more that don't is the Collina IR26. And the fifth plant that I don't hear much talked about that I think we should talk about more is this species affinity engleriana Vietnam. This is the species engleriana that is easier to take care of. This is the one with larger leaves and that does not experience root rot as much. Now, this one I have done some experimentation and I am growing it in tree fern fiber and perlite. I'm just experimenting with it and seeing how it does. But I received this as a gift from a local plant grower about maybe 6, 8 months ago. I'd have to look on my sheet, grow on my spreadsheet, but it's really grown a lot since then. I've taken some cuttings and rooted it, but it's grown really fast. And I think that we should talk about it some more because it does grow really fast. It is a hanging Hoya. It is a small leaved Hoya. It from my personal experience, it propagates pretty easily. I think that we should talk about this Hoya more because it's not a rare Hoya. It's not an expensive Hoya, but it does satisfy, it checks all the boxes for a lot of the Hoyas, a lot of the Hoya characteristics we want. It has tiny leaves. It is a hanging Hoya. So the fifth plant today that I think that we should talk more about is the species affinity engleriana Vietnam. And the final plant that I'm going to talk about today that is a nice plant, but is one that we don't really talk about more, and I think we should, is my is a plant for me in particular, and this is the verticillata heartleaf splash. And the reason I include this plant is because I have one. I have a verticillata heartleaf splash that is very splashy for me. I really like this plant. It did kind of a interesting take. It started growing some without splashes, but with pink splashes instead. So I have this, and they don't have splashes like normal. They don't have the normal splashing that the plant was having, but I think that we should talk about this more because it does check all the boxes. It has splashing. It's a medium-sized leaf. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It grows pretty fast. It is not picky on humidity or light. It grows well in moderate humidity and moderate light. It doesn't require anything real special, and it grows and it grows and it grows. I will say it does like a little bit more light, and it does like a little bit more humidity, but uh, it will still grow for you even without those. Um, I had this plant in kind of subpar conditions for a while, and it didn't mind, not at all. So this one is really cute. It propagates really well too, and it grows really fast. And I found that the splashing in this one is really stable. So the sixth and final plant that I think that we don't talk about enough, but we should, is the verticillata heartleaf splash. So that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was kind of a little fun, offbeat video, and I hope that it gave you some ideas for some Hoyas that you might like to add to your wish list, or some Hoyas that you might consider. Hey, I know that those have been around for a while, but maybe those are plants that I'd like to add to my collection, and maybe get a few more ideas for your wish list. So I hope you enjoy today's video, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And until next time, I'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.